Hi, welcome to the Market Alert for Thursday, the 15th of July 2020. So stocks heard what they wanted to hear from Powell, and the futures were higher yesterday from the start. Again, he's always going to preach to the market. He's not going to say anything negative because the last thing they want is the stock market moving to the downside. So Manchin says he's open to the 3.5 trillion infrastructure plan. Might be good news for stocks, bad news for the dollar. Good for the metals though. So they continue to add to, or propose to add to, the debt pile that is, I don't know, just under 30 trillion, is it, or something in the US? But this is the madness of the times that we're currently living in. The market, however, certainly the options traders, an interesting figure here of 17.58. The previous day was only 13 something, I've forgotten what it was now. But this is a big spike. Considering the market is sideways, which we'll look at in just a moment. We'll come back to this in just a moment. Well, that's a big spike in the implied volatility, given that the market was trading towards the all-time high. So do they know something that we don't? News today, we've got nothing until 11 a.m. MPC member Saunders speaks, that's from the UK. 1:30 we've got Philly Fed and the unemployment claims. We've got industrial production out at 2:15, and at 2:30 Powell is going to testify, which is a pain in the rear because that's just as the afternoon session starts. So keep that one in mind. Let's have a look at the Dow, and you'll see what I mean. You've got the market trading back towards the all-time high. I thought it was going to do it yesterday. It failed to do that after the open. The market moved lower. But it's odd that the implied volatility has moved up as high as it's moved up without any sort of sell-off happening in the market. We certainly didn't see that when we were at these levels. So a bit odd. Maybe it will be corrected tomorrow, but just something to keep in mind there. In the 30-minute chart, you can see that the market attempted to move to the upside to take out the previous day's high, which it did. And then we've got this high here today, but it's going to take something special from Powell to get the market back up to there. Not impossible at all. As you look at the daily chart, you'll see we're just a stone's throw away from the all-time high for the Dow. In the German DAX, we're already sitting at the all-time high, which we can see here. This is the new one at 13. Previous one was at 6. Again, we came down to the 5-bar moving average yesterday, and the market came off this before the close last night. The moment sitting on the 5-bar moving average will need to move above this in order to move to the upside. And again, in the 30-minute, you can see that we've got a bit of a pullback at the moment going on here. Before the futures market opens, I would certainly look at this low to this high to see if I can find some sort of area where the market's likely to find some support, and these would be the two areas here, 78 and 89. I can see this a lot more clearly than I can in a 2-minute chart, although I trade this one to time the trade to the downside. The 30-minute gives me the bigger picture of where I can expect to see prices finding that support and just heading there as I record. So yes, the DAX sideways at the moment, but a lot more volatility yesterday, but not in the afternoon, only in the morning session. Meanwhile, in the metals, silver moving up yesterday. I was surprised that they're actually allowing this to happen at the moment, as it moves towards the upside from this high to this low. Let's just have a quick look at where we are. We're through the 38s and the 50, 62, 78 and 89 are the targets here. Now what's really interesting is the suppression of the silver price compared to the gold. You can see how the gold price yesterday traded back up to the 200 MA, was allowed to move up sharply, and this was due to the US dollar moving to the downside, having failed at the 89% retracement from here down to here, drawn back. Market traded to it, traded through it, and then reversed, and is now heading to the downside. So from here to here, I'll just draw this in. You'll see that we're through the 38, we're through the 50% and the 62. Watch out for these three levels here. One drawn from here to here, this one from here to here. So we've got a double 89 sitting down there in the dollar index, which could be a support area. It needs to break through and then take out this low, and then we'll have one drawn in from here up to here to work its way back. But we can see that that's going to be around the 89%. Just by eyeballing, because you take the low and then just move slightly up above from it, and then you can eyeball it. So let's have a look at yesterday's trading session in a bit more detail. It was an interesting one, and let me just wind this back so we can go through it in a bit more detail. The futures market moving lower. And then, sorry, that was prior to the futures markets, and then the futures market opened. They brought the market back. Again, you can see the market coming back around 78% before the cash session opened. And then it opened to the downside sharply. Then it came back down 20 points. Then they tried to bring the market back. Also in here is very important is the low. I spoke about this yesterday, how important the low is in trading. Very, very important, especially in a bull market, because I want to keep the market above this. We had a potential buy signal. You can see the market trading sideways, sitting on this low. That's why it's so important. The market then broke to the downside, and we had a potential signal. Now the only problem is they'll want to bring the market back, and if you watch the volume in these bars here, even though the signal is filled, you will see already that the volume is the same as the previous bar, and it's heading back to the upside, and that's a big clue when you are trading at the low. Now what we would hope for is that having broken the low, the market would then move to the downside and trade down to either the S2, this BRN, or the S3. But we can see clearly from the volume that they're already buying back into this market, and there you go, you can see it now confirmed with the test. So they tested the market, see who wanted to sell. Nobody wanted to sell, so they decided to bring it back. And the fact that they didn't want to sell, I then took advantage of this opportunity as it got back above the low to trade it to the upside. And I'll just take you through this again. All I had to do was wait and with each bar closing back above the 5-bar moving average. We then got to the close and the DP. We start to see the potential weakness coming in at this level. Then I pay attention to this and then decide to offload the trade. And there you can see there was just over 30 points on the trade back to the upside, and that was borne out purely and simply by, as I say, looking at oops, I've just gone too far the other way. What was going on here, even though the order was filled, I could see that they were attempting to buy back in to get it back above the low. The low is really, really important, just as the high is too. You'll need to get through the high in order to make those new all-time highs in the German DAX. So prices then reversed, coming back through the DP, and then got into a sideways move through the morning session. And I'm going to move on to the lunchtime when we had the PMI. This came out. I don't know what the actual figures were on this one. I'm assuming that they were positive as the market moved up initially. This time it was able to get through the close and the DP from the morning session and moved higher. And then let's fast forward through to the main event, which is at 2:30, and the market did exactly what it did on Tuesday, and traded sideways. Just bizarre how this is happening in the DAX in the afternoon. Looks like there's a lot of movement, but there really isn't a lot going on there at all. Probably a 20-point range, and then it became even tighter in these small 10-point ranges, if that as well. So then crude oil inventories, that's a bit of a non-starter, as well as the market maintained its sideways move. Then we had a bit of a blast back to the upside there, and I thought we were going to see the market break out and head back to the all-time high, which is here, but the market failing to do this, as well as it remains sideways after the main session closed for the day. Okay, that's will do it for this one. There's a lot in here, and I've gone through quite quickly, but just to again give you some other ways of thinking and looking at the markets as well. Just because you have a signal doesn't mean to say that you can't interpret what's going on yourself as well. Okay, that's it for this one. As ever, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.